right. 7 o'clock on the 23rd of February, 2026, and I am calling to order the Stayton Planning Commission meeting. My name is Larry McKinley. I am the chair of the Planning Commission. First agenda tonight, though, is minutes from last month. Do I have any changes or additions to the minutes from commission? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we have one hearing is a continuation from last month and two other hearings tonight. And I would like to start off by just making kind of a general statement about, they're all similar hearings. They're all annexations of properties that are within the UGB into the city limits and a change of zoning or recommended zoning for those pieces of property. So that's an administrative procedure for the council or for the commission, i.e. we need to make sure that what's proposed meets annexation requirements, our land use code for the city. But things outside of that, because right now there's not a development proposal. There is not anything on there that says what's going to be built. That would come later, near future, long-term future, but it would come forth in the form of a site plan so that everybody would have an opportunity to review that site plan and make input on that. Tonight's is administrative in that we're going to look at, we have an applicant who's made an application for annexation. We look at that to see if it meets the land use requirements. If it doesn't, then we may recommend changing or going back and reviewing, or if it does, then we would issue a recommended approval. We're not the final approval authority. The city council is the final approval authority. So I just wanted to clarify that so that things like surface water runoff, traffic impact analysis, if there were going to be buildings on there, what they're going to look at, that's not part of the discussion tonight. It doesn't enter into the decision process tonight. So just to make that point clear. So with that said, we are going to continue the hearing for hearing number 16-12-/24, which was an application for annexation and subdivision of 3 parcels at 9164 Golf Club Road, 9384 Golf Club Road, and 9474 Golf Club Road to medium density residential zone. So at this time, I would entertain staff report.
Okay. So as the chairman has stated, the application was by Mandy Myers to annex approximately 59.63 acres. We heard the last public hearing at the January meeting, and then the public hearing was continued to tonight. One of the reasons it was continued was to have additional review on the right-of-way widths between the current annexation. Since that time, I have spoken with the city attorney, and he advised me while future development may require additional right-of-way dedication to meet the city minor arterial standards, for the purpose of annexation, the right-of-way as currently configured is sufficient to satisfy the statutory requirement. I also discussed with him the Marion County request that the annexation extend further north to include more of Golf Club Road right-of-way up to the future development. The city attorney confirmed that the inclusion of that additional right-of-way is not legally required, but that the city or the planning commission may recommend extending it to align with Marion County's request that it be extended. I think that, oh, yes, there is one other major thing that I'd like to bring up. I had received today a letter from DLCD, the person I had, the department that I had mentioned prior, Department of Land Conservation and Development. And they did submit comments just today on all three applications, and that's why I'm bringing it up here, because they affect all three. And we staff really would like to respond to this. And so I've given a copy of these comments to each of the planning commissioners and the applicants. And I will get them to you electronically, probably tomorrow. It concerns the buildings lands analysis. I'll just stop there. I'll write up something for another time. That kind of segues into the first application that we're here tonight that we're talking about. The staff in the city did say that we recommend a medium density in this case, and the applicant is requesting medium density. So we feel like this comment doesn't affect this application as much, but will be part of the record since we received it. I do want to mention why I said medium density for this application. Prior, I talked all about the buildable lands inventory and how we came up with our needs and our housing analysis. And I know that in other applications, anyway, I'll just stick with what we're talking about. The reason why I thought that medium density versus low density, I said that this application, now they did not submit a concept plan. They withdrew the subdivision, but I was able to look at what their intention was. And I noticed that only 6 of the lots could possibly be triplexes. So I felt like that was a number, that most of what they wanted to do was single family homes, which is what the city currently needs. I hope that's clear.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. One other point that I want to make before the applicant is given their time is last month I recused myself from the discussion because I'm acquainted with one of the property owners who stands to benefit if this goes through and the property is purchased. After consulting with our legal counsel for the city, they said I do not have a conflict of interest and can preside over this. So I was here for all the testimonies last time and heard everything that was presented last time. So just want to make that clear to everyone that's here. All right. So do we have an applicant presentation?
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is David Dodson, here on behalf of Willamette Valley Planning, which is pretty much me, and I'm here representing Randy with Brownstone Homes. The only thing we did have a chance to kind of peruse the recent testimony that was submitted by DLCD today. And as Jennifer had mentioned, we are proposing medium density versus low density residential, consistent with what appears to be implied in this letter. And I guess just really more as a general conversation, and some of the smaller towns are now feeling more of the effects, but the state's looking to push for adding additional housing, and especially middle housing. And there's a lot of infill opportunities, especially in larger communities. I do a lot of work in Albany and Eugene and Corvallis. And there, a lot of the merchant builders are, their standard lot size now is 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. So it's a lot smaller than what it used to be. Reason being is this affordability issue, that the more lots they can get, then they can do a cheaper price point. It's more affordable for entry-level buyers. So, again, the city of Stayton's minimum lot size is 7,000 square feet in the medium density zone. That's what we're proposing primarily for this project. We're looking to do single family to provide some reasonable density, but still have single family detached housing, which Jennifer had mentioned was where the demand seems to be in this market here. So with that really concludes all that we needed to additionally add, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from the commission? I think we had most of our questions last time, so thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Questions or input from the public? Seeing none.
I think we do have somebody online.
Online? Very good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I get you to allow me to share my screen, please?
Allow him to share his. Allowed.
Just one more second. I'm almost there.
Okay, good.
Okay, there we go. Chairperson, Vice Chair, and members of the commission, my name is Carl Gomal, and I reside at 12174 Gulf Lane, Southeast in Sublimity. I speak tonight on behalf of the Gulf Lane Residential Coalition. I'm referring to the proposal for annexation of Gulf Club Road, land use file 16-12/24. I have another packet that I have sent to the commission to be included into the record, but I'll speak to that packet in the Gulf Lane land use file. So here I'll only bring up one particular item, one point that is not in that other packet. One thing I'd like to mention before I get started is annexation, is an administrative issue. However, in order to annex, we're talking about annexing so the city can develop that land at a future date. There's no need to annex if there's no plan for future development. In the slide I'm showing you right now, 200, 900, and 000 are the pieces of property that are looking to be annexed. The cherry stem that goes up the Golf Club Road comes up to here, which is the new pumping station owned by the city, and then goes into this where the sewer line's at, and will eventually become, according to the planning documents, the Gulf Lane collector that would come across approximately here and go across into Gulf Lane. So currently right now, the thing that is causing continuity of the property to the city boundary, which is the blue line here, is just a cherry stem annexation. The proposed cherry stem connection showed in this slide is a major legal vulnerability for the city. This is a practice often called a shoestring annexation or a strip annexation, and it frequently fails the legal test of continuity. In annexation law, continuity generally means a substantial physical connection, usually interpreted as a sharing a common border that integrates the new land into the existing city fabric. A cherry stem creates a technical connection, but violates the intent of continuity. It does not integrate the land, it artificially tethers an island to the city. Oregon courts and Land Use Board of Appeals have historically frowned upon annexations that use a narrow strip, like a road or a single utility line, just to touch a piece of property that is otherwise isolated. If the only connection to the city is a narrow strip, such as a right-of-way, the property is not effectively adjacent or continuous. It is a leapfrog development disguised as an extension. Cherry stem annexations almost always fail the efficiency of services test. If you have to run a water pipe or a police car down a long, narrow stem to reach a blob of houses at the end, this is a definition of inefficient service delivery. You're bypassing other lands, the gaps on either side of the stem to service a distant pocket. This increases maintenance costs per mile for the city, which directly contradicts the requirement for orderly and efficient growth. Annexation requires the land to be continuous with the city. The applicant is proposing a cherry stem annexation using a narrow strip, Golf Club Road, artificially connect a distant block of land, lots 200, 900, and 000 to the city limits. This creates a flagpole or an island effect. and planning law. It violates the spirit of orderly growth because it leapfrogs over closer logical lands to grab distant acreage. It is inefficient as we will have to extend police, fire, and utilities down a narrow stem to a service distant island. And it creates enclaves by creating pockets of county land trapped or bypassed, complicating future planning. We ask you to reject this boundary adjustment. True continuity means sharing a substantial common border, not tethering a distant subdivision with a shoestring. Is there any questions?
Is there anything from the commission? No, none.
Thank you.
So Jennifer, I guess my question would be what is land use law?
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
some
we talked, I think you're aware that we talked to the city attorney and he was asked about cherry stem annexations. And I think in the past, it was, there was a question about it, but case law has solidly said that it is congruent. It does meet that criteria of congruency when you just use a right of way. And he definitely said that that's the case.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Please come up. Okay. Just remember to state your full name and your address when you're up there, sir. Thank you.
Charles Hawkins, 9534 Golf Club Road. I wish he still had the map up, but just a question. His map showing the yellow outline of the annexation of those three parcels did not show the properties, the houses that they bought those from, and the area between that boundary and the road being annexed also, which affects my property line, which is just to the south of that. Could you clarify that?
I don't think that map was quite accurate.
That's why I'm asking.
That's why, yeah,
The
that was
annexation
not.
actually goes all the way out to Golf Club Road,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Staff summary.
So so I do believe that the application meets the criteria. I'm just gonna suggest that we modify some of the draft recommendations. Adding a second hearing was held today. That would be good to put in findings of fact. Additionally, so I can just go through the criteria. It says needs exist in the community for the land proposed to the annexation, and we use the 2013 Stayton Comprehensive Plan buildable lands inventory to figure out that need. I explained what that was in the draft recommendation. We also talked about the site is capable of being serviced by adequate city public services. And we said that it is capable. And in this context, we can talk a little bit about the streets. There may be in the future, when the property gets developed, there may be a need for a wider right of way. But that is with future development that comes in, not what we're talking about today. So the annexation would just be the width of the right of way as it currently exists. I did mention that if the Planning Commission would like, they could extend the annexation to take up more of Golf Club Road to the point where the development or the parcel, the most north parcel is, where there might be a future connection. Marion County asked us if we could do that. That would maybe mean that the applicant would provide an updated legal description of the annexation to go for city council, but I'll leave that up to you. And as we mentioned, the contiguousness of the properties, I did myself have, wondered about that. And that's why I spoke with the city attorney. And he made it very clear that case law had said that a cherry stem using a right of way is contiguous. So I'll just leave it there.
All right. So is there additional information to put in to a recommendation if we make a motion? That's you
Yeah.
kind of trailed on with that, and I'm not sure.
I would make minor modifications. So I would, one, include the mention of a second hearing. And two, you could recommend that the right of way be lengthened to be annexed. So I wonder if the applicant has a picture of the annexation. It only goes up Golf Club Road, the very beginning of the first parcel. So there's 3 parcels.
Yep.
The southernmost parcel, it really just connects to the southernmost parcel. And so Marion County suggested that it go up to because the third parcel that's on the top, the most northern, will eventually have an entryway to Golf Club Road. So they thought that it should extend all the way up to that point. I wonder if the applicant would you be okay with that?
Is there any way?
Please come back up. We need to clarify this.
Can we see a map or anything if possible?
If you pull up the application on the screen, then maybe everyone can see. What makes sense, there's 2 points of connection proposed for the future development or future subdivision for the property. One of which is at the far south end of the project, so on the southern parcel, and it extends out to Golf Club Road. And then the other one is essentially the existing right of way that exists between the second and third parcel. And that's where the collector road will be extended through the entire property to the eastern boundary. And that would be what we would recommend, the annexation go to that distance. Because beyond that, the frontage really only includes the remaining county property. So that's one of the houses that was parsed off and remains in the county. So when that property were to eventually annex, then they would then include that and extend the right of way further north.
When and if that property chose to be annexed.
Yeah. But I don't know if there's that much value in extending it at this point in time, because that's the furthest north connectivity that occurs with the public right of way there.
Which is within your current proposal.
Correct.
You're talking about the strip of land that's just above the pumping station?
Correct. Right. Exactly.
That goes in between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, they can pull up
We're trying.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can pull that up because I've got.
Yeah, I've looked at it, and that strip of land is just the one right above the pumping station. There, that's the uppermost.
Okay. I know it's a small. I want everybody to be able to see, so if they can pull that up. I've got a pointer, and it should hopefully it'll work on the screen here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. If they can pull that up, then we can show. Scroll on down, and then maybe enlarge it a little bit on the screen if you could. Get down to the exhibits. Oh, yeah, that's close. Okay, right there. So
can you hit the?
I can show. So I can explain. So Golf Club Road runs in this direction here. Okay, and so this is one southern connection point where this land will be subdivided. This run right here is where the collector road will extend. It's on the city's transportation plan. It'll run from Golf Club Road to the eastern boundary and eventually extend through. And so that's really the furthest point north. As you can see, this is all in the county and there's no connectivity up here. So we would, if the planning commission is interested in extending that public right of way further north with the annexation, we could modify the legal description of the boundary, but we would recommend it terminate right here and not continue all the way to the very far north point, because again, these lands on either side are still in the county.
All right,
That'd be
thank
our
you.
recommendation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right,
Yeah, what map is that? Attachment C. There's a map that shows that little strip.
Yep.
That comes
Right.
across to the thing.
pump station, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, with the conclusion of the staff summary, if there's no more input, then we are going to close the hearing, the public hearing. And this is a time which we have deliberation by the commission. Input.
I just have a question. Do we need to put in here in this, in whatever we approved, do we need to put in the density level, the medium or
It is
lower?
medium density, isn't it?
It is medium density.
It's medium.
That's
Okay, because it's not in this motion.
Not in the motion.
It's in the recommendation section. It says, based on the findings and conclusions above, the planning commission recommends approval of the application for annexation to the city council and amend of the official zoning map to designate the property as medium density residential. So it says it in the recommendation section after conclusion.
Okay.
Good. Any other input from the commission? Hearing none. Is there a motion?
I'll make it since I have it in front of me here. The one adopting modifications to the draft order. I move the Stayton Planning Commission approval of the application for annexation for Randall Myers Brownstone Homes for approximately 59.63 acres located on Golf Club Road Southeast. Land use file number 16-12/24, and adopt the draft order with the following changes, which you mentioned.
Yes, adding the second hearing and then extending the right of way.
Okay, extending the right of way and
To
But we're only going as far as the pump station, right?
pump
as
station.
far as the
right.
pump station. Okay,
I thought there was another thing too you wanted to add on that.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Second hearing. This is a second hearing.
Oh, and this is the second hearing. Yes.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Done with that one. All right. It's time for a second hearing. So I go through a long litany here with the hearings each time to make them legal. So please bear with me. Good evening. My name is Larry McKinley. I'm the chairperson for the Stayton Planning Commission, and I will be presiding over this hearing. This is a time and place to set the public hearing in the matter of land use file number 5-02/24, an application for annexation of a 21-acre parcel of land fronting Golf Lane, proposing a zoning designation of medium density residential and including a concept plan. Do we have a concept plan? Where do we pull that?
They did have a concept plan of 74 single-family homes.
This hearing is now open. Oregon land use law requires a statement to be made to those in attendance that covers certain matters relative to this case. The statement, with all the information required to be presented under ORS 197.797 Bowl Leg 5, is printed and available at the back counter. If anyone has any questions regarding anything on the statement or objects to it not being read out loud, please raise those questions when it comes to your turn to speak during the hearing. Also at the back counter is the agenda for this evening's meeting, which lays out the order in which people will be called on to speak during the public hearing. The Planning Commission's rules of procedure for land use public hearings and a handout written to facilitate your participation in the public hearing. You are encouraged to obtain and read a copy of these documents as well. At this time, I would like to ask the audience if there are any objections to the notice that was sent in this case. Hearing none, to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case. Hearing none, are there any declarations of conflict or interest, ex parte, contact, or bias by any members of this body? Hearing none. We are now ready for the staff introduction and report.
Okay, before you tonight is land use file 5-2/24, an application by KSD Properties to annex approximately 21 acres on Golf Lane into the city limits. The property is currently in Marion County and zone urban transition, and the applicant has requested medium density residential zoning with a 74 lot concept plan. The application was previously heard in November. However, because notice was not provided to DLCD as required, the hearing is being reheard tonight. So just to give people a little background, it did go to the city council. It was advertised, and on that day is when DLCD said we would like notice. So the city council did not hear it, but just remanded it to you today to be heard again. The property is within the urban growth boundary and contiguous to the city limits on 3 sides. Staff finds the annexation itself is appropriate and consistent with the comprehensive plan. I did say in my staff report previously that medium density will allow duplexes and triplexes that exceed the remaining multifamily needs identified in the buildable lands inventory. But as I did say that, and I think that it somewhat concerns me, as I said at the last time, and I recommended low density, but I think that it's possible that medium density could be allowed because many of the lots would be duplexes, which are required, but I'll go with my staff report, which staff recommends low density. But you've heard this before, so we're open to, so then I received comments today from DLCD, provided notice to them as they required, and they did have some concerns about the staff using the building housing needs from the comprehensive plan. It wasn't that we couldn't use them from the comprehensive plan, but that we also should additionally use, it's called, let's see, Department of Administrative Services updated methodology. They publish an allocation for housing needs for each local government annually. And they did provide an allocation for housing needs for Stayton for 2026. This will be part of the record, and I would like to respond to it. And so I just wanted to let you know I handed out this, and the letter also goes on and says that one of the goals of housing is existing and future residents will be provided a choice of housing types in safe and healthful housing. And they feel that that the Planning Commission should be more open to higher density with that in mind. So I will definitely look through this, and I plan on calling DLCD to explain how the AMI would deal, because it says that, so AMI just to let you know, AMI is average median income. So it says how many housing units you need for a certain percentage of average income, but it does not say how many single family, how many duplexes, how many triplexes. So I want to get clarification. Like I said, I only received this today, so but it's definitely important that the state has provided these comments, and so we really want to make sure that we're following their recommendations or their input. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Applicant?
Jennifer, can you remind me how I can? There was a circle thing here last time that I would use to connect my PowerPoint presentation. Do I just search for it in my?
She has a
plug and connect to it. Oh.
You're on there.
It's like it's doing something. If it's red, it's working. Okay. While the technology does what technology does, I'll introduce myself. My name is Brittany Randall. I'm the owner and principal planner of Brand Land Use, and I'm representing KSD Properties for this annexation that is before you again. So I'll rush through some of my presentation because you've seen it, and I have some new information regarding the updated staff report to share with you. Okay. Something's happening. Maybe. It's red. It's red good. Oh, it was there. It was. Okay, promising. Thank you so much. Okay. I introduced our team last time. I thank you for your volunteer time, so I won't bore you with this again. Just an overview. This is the site we're looking at. It abuts Golf Lane Southeast. Not to be confused with, I think it was Golf Club Lane. Okay. Okay. It's a roughly 21 acres. It is inside the urban growth boundary, contiguous to corporate city limits. The comprehensive plan for this property is residential, which allows us to designate one of your 3 residential zones. Low residential, medium residential, and high density residential. We are proposing medium density residential on this site. This is the relationship of the property to other annexed properties in the city. So it is part of an enclave surrounded by already annexed right-of-ways and annexed properties, but it does to the south abut other properties that will remain in Marion County until they ask you to be annexed as well. Just a closer picture of the property and the existing conditions. If you need me to slow down, please let me know. I presented this to you before and don't want to bore you. We're asking for medium density residential for a couple of reasons. One is just the surrounding context. The property to the north, though undeveloped now, is zoned for commercial general zoning. The property to the west is public/semi-public land, and everything to the south has a comprehensive plan designation for residential. So we believe that the stepping of zoning intensities makes sense. You would probably see lower density as you get down towards the existing lower density to the south. These are the requirements for annexation. I know you're familiar. I will move on. One of the things that I wanted to present to you was that although we have a mix of sizes of lots in our conceptual plan, everything that I know from my client is that they're interested in detached single-family homes, possibly with ADUs, as ADUs are a great way to reduce the barrier to buying a home. It's automatically income because it can be a rental. So it's a concept that I think people are moving towards so they can realize home ownership and immediately have rental income as well. So currently that's the concept for this site. This is that concept plan here with 74 lots. We did a TIA for 98 lots. So it projected many more trips than what we would actually be presenting now with medium density residential. I will zoom through this because I bored you with that last time. And here's where we reach some new information. So the updated staff report has numbers that are essentially deducting what the city has seen to be built since 2013 when the buildable lands inventory and housing needs inventory was adopted. However, that section of the staff report is in itself a housing needs analysis and can't be considered unless those numbers are adopted. So when we come in as an applicant, we have to demonstrate that we're meeting the requirements of what has been adopted. That's the current housing needs analysis, buildable lands inventory, comprehensive plan goals, statewide planning goals, and the zoning code. So specifically speaking to the city of Stayton's adopted housing goals and policies, these are adopted to keep the city's comprehensive plan in compliance with goal 10, which is housing, among other goals, but this one's mainly to be in compliance with goal 10. The statewide planning goal is to provide for the housing needs of citizens of the state. Buildable lands for residential use shall be inventoried, and plans shall encourage the availability of adequate numbers of needed housing units at price ranges and rent levels which are commensurate with the financial capabilities of Oregon households and allow for flexibility of housing location, type, and density. It's very lofty because it's a goal, so it's not, a policy, but then we do have policies that are derived from that goal that are, more action-based, which are adopted in the comprehensive plan. So that's why I've included those as well. So the very first housing policy in Stayton's comprehensive plan is the policy. It's the policy of the city to encourage development of housing that meets the needs of all income groups of existing and future residents. So I feel like this is really important because if we continue to bring in land at just low density residential, that's one housing type. It's 10,000 square foot minimum lots with detached single family homes. And although very desirable, very hard to attain for people right now financially. It doesn't provide the diversity in housing types that the comprehensive plan demands. So the other actions say the city shall assure that adequate supply of land in all residential zones is available for development within the city. So again, if we continue to only designate low density, then we're missing out on an entire segment of different housing types. And then these don't really apply to us other than you could see a mobile home park in a medium or high density zoning, and that's not allowed in low density residential. Again, an alternative housing type for a different income. I did want to point out that this is a table 8-3 taken directly from the city's comprehensive plan that shows how heavy we are on low density acreage. And we have, I think, a lack of, and the housing needs and buildable land inventory says, a lack of medium and high density residential. So all of these to encourage you to please consider the ask of medium density residential.
The question for you then would be on our high density buildable lands. I understand what I read correctly. We're about at what we have existing on the ground right now is basically what's in our buildable lands inventory estimate. Anything additional in high density would go beyond what we have in our comp plan right now.
Well, and what I would say to that is that it's a projection, it's not a cap. So I also think that we saw a lot of stagnation in development in Stayton due to the sewer issue. And now that that issue is about to sunset, I think you're seeing the levee is breaking, right? These people have held on to this ground that they couldn't develop because of the sewer issue. So I think that's why, I don't want to speak for Jennifer, but why she's basically has an avalanche of applications on her desk right now. And I feel for you, Jennifer. I told you that earlier when we talked on the phone. I empathize. I think that's a really important point, though, to our every application, although applications have come in, is based on the merits of what was adopted in 2013. Today, that's 13 years old. So I think anybody would in real life consider that to be old data, but that's what we're working with because that's what's adopted. Right. Again, another pressure point for staff that I think is an unfunded mandate from the state to be continuously updating that. Okay, so then we have some case law that, again, tells us as cities that we must be looking at what we've adopted. So I wanted to provide you with this case. I'm happy to provide it into the record if anybody wants to read on it more. But the key holding of this case was if a city relies on a new housing needs analysis or revised projections to support a land use decision, that new analysis must be incorporated into the comprehensive plan through a legislative amendment. So it couldn't just be included during this process. And the city cannot substitute new calculation in, just like I just said, in a quasi-judicial proceeding while leaving the adopted plan unchanged. We also have goalpost rules. So if the city were to, initiate a new housing needs analysis, this application would still not be subject to those new projections because it was submitted while that was still the adopted plan. I think that I've made my point on here, so I won't beat a dead horse. I did want to highlight that the staff report says that the city's inventories can't support the multifamily possibilities with medium density, but multifamily is not permitted in medium density. So the city's definition of multifamily development are 4 attached units. So it's semantics, but I just want to make sure that the word multifamily can really frighten people. And that's not what we're presenting here because we wouldn't be allowed to under this zone. So to conclude, we are asking that this application be moved ahead as medium density zoning, aligning with the city's housing policies and codified in the comprehensive plan. We do believe that it meets the goals of providing for alternative housing types, such as single family dwellings on smaller lots, increasing affordability, potentially duplexes and triplexes. The 2013 housing framework, that remains the governing document that we were subject to when we submitted our application. And again, we can't leave the current plan in place and apply different housing needs framework inside of this annexation. That has to be a separate effort. Any questions?
No, not at this point. Not for me.
Could I say one more thing?
Yep.
Jennifer, we had talked earlier about asking the Planning Commission to close the hearing but hold open the written record for 777. Is this appropriate time to ask for that? Because I feel like we're going to go into a motion.
So you want to continue the hearing?
Continue, I thought. I thought we
continue.
were going to continue it to April.
Was that a continuance?
Yes.
Or was that okay. I will follow
Yes.
your lead.
Okay.
Thank you.
So at that point, thank you.
Should I leave a map up in case someone else wants to
I
make
think-
a comment?
I think we pretty well know where it is. This is our second time through this one. So
I mean, one could only pray, but you never
Yeah.
know.
I hear you. Okay, are there any questions from the commission? Okay. Yes. From the commission for her. Yes. Did you have one? No. Okay, very good. All right. So I guess input from the commission and from me, Jennifer. I know that we have a disconnect between high density and medium density requirements, in that we can allow a fourplex in medium density, but we won't allow townhouses, which are basically a two-family home, which makes them more affordable, which I think is what you're pointing at, is making more affordable options for people to lease property or however they purchase it, whichever they do in a townhome environment. So that's not part of this hearing, but I think we should look somewhere down the line at some type of zoning requirement amendment to bring townhomes into medium density housing, which gives the developers a little more flexibility in what they're doing.
Yeah, I could speak to two things I did see. Brittany was talking about the 2013 housing needs analysis, and that I had updated the numbers. I did talk to our city attorney, who seemed like that was a valid thing to do. I can talk with him and talk about this case law is one thing. And then the second thing was, I think what Brittany was talking about does get confusing, because multifamily is not allowed in medium density, which in our zoning is 4+. But in our building needs analysis, a triplex is considered a multi-unit. So that's where the confusion comes in, with trying to align that inventory with what we actually have in zoning, which is what you were mentioning about the, yeah.
Okay. All right. So are there any applicant input from applicants? Hearing none.
Public, I think.
So the public, I'm sorry, from the public, my fault.
Okay.
Come on, please.
I know you guys have probably already gone through this, but where are the utilities coming from? And I'm George Hand, live on 9264 Golf Club Road.
Okay. So I'm not the person that delivers the utilities, but it would be a requirement of that development to run the utilities however they have to run them. I'm not sure.
Right.
That's part of the site plan when that comes online, and they will show all that, where the utilities come from, the sewer, the water, and everything. And that's another good time for input from property owners to see what's coming and how they're developing that out. Right. That's what that does. Thank you.
So that'll be another meeting.
Oh, yeah. All right. So Jennifer, do we just want to do a continuation for this hearing?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have a motion to continue.
You want to make sure that it's the right date. It's not March. It'll be the April. April 27th.
Okay, April 27th.
I'm sorry, can you clarify why we're continuing?
So that she can go back to the LCD and get the questions answered that she got at 10 o'clock this morning on her desk.
So I'll move that we continue the hearing until April 27th.
Is there a second? There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're continuing this one. All right, last hearing for tonight. So good evening. My name is Larry McKinley. I am the chairperson for the Stayton Planning Commission. I will be presiding over this hearing. This is the time and place to set the public hearing in the matter of land use file 10-8/25. An application for an annexation of approximately 17.01 acre parcel of land fronting Shaft Road, proposing a zoning designation of high density residential. This hearing is now open. Oregon land use law requires a statement to be made to those in attendance that covers certain matters relative to this case. The statement with all the information required to be presented under ORS 197.797 Bowleg 5 is printed and available at the back counter. If anyone has questions regarding anything on the statement or objects to it not being read out loud, please raise those questions when it comes to your turn to speak during the hearing. Also at the back counter is the agenda for this evening's meeting, which lays out the order in which people will be called on to speak during the public hearing, the Planning Commission's rules of procedures for land use public hearings, and a handout written to facilitate your participation in the public hearing. You are encouraged to obtain and read a copy of these documents as well. At this time, I'd ask if the audience if there are any objections to the notice that was sent out in this case. This is the one on Shaft Road. Right. Yeah, never got it. But we live down Golf. Yeah, so it's a 300-foot contiguous circle around the site, sir. Thank you. To the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case. Hearing none. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest, ex parte contact, or bias by the members of this body? Hearing none. We're now ready for the staff introduction.
Before you tonight is land use file 10-8/25, an application by Kevin and Paige Butler to annex approximately 17 acres located on Shaft Road. The property is currently in Marion County, zoned urban transition, and is within the urban growth boundary. The applicant has requested high-density residential. The application had no concept plan. However, the applicant did provide an engineering memorandum illustrated how the property could be served by city utilities. Under the high-density zone, the minimum density is 13 units per acre, which would require at least 408 dwelling units on this site. So that would be the minimum. Based on the city's buildable land inventory and actual growth trends, the level of multifamily development would exceed what's identified for the need for multifamily community. As I mentioned before, the zoning for high density allows for multifamily, which is 4+. But I think that talking with the applicant, there is a quirk in our zoning that high density is the only place that allows townhomes, so single family homes that are attached. So that is what Larry was sort of talking about. So even if we imagine, if we hear high density, we hear multifamily units, it also does mean attached single family homes. So I just wanted to clarify that. And as I mentioned before, that building analysis that I was talking about from the comp plan does not say that it counts that as single family. It doesn't. That could be considered single family, not multifamily. So it gets kind of confusing. Staff finds that the annexation is appropriate. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, the density, I think that's what's questionable of what density should be allowed there. And as we said, there's the memo that the state, I need to respond to it because they had some concerns about staff recommending low density versus medium or high. So I did want to point out that there is a 100-foot natural resource buffer along the Salem ditch. And I'm sure that in the application packet, I had provided like a 20-page comments from the water control board that had some issues with using the Salem ditch for stormwater runoff. But I think our staff report rebutted most of those. I think that's it. That is my conclusion.
All right, very good. Presentation from the applicant.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brittany Randall with Brand Land Use. I'm representing Kevin and Paige Butler in this annexation tonight. I will say a lot of things that I previously said because we have to. The applicants, Kevin and Paige Butler, actually live adjacent to this property. The civil engineering was provided by Josh Wells of West Tech, and land use was provided by me. So this is the property that we are looking at. I believe this is adjacent to one of Stayton's newest multifamily housing developments. It's 17 acres of land inside the UGB, contiguous to Stayton's corporate city limits. The site has access to Shaft Road Southeast, which is a city street. And the City of Stayton Comprehensive Plan designates this site as residential. The proposed matching zoning designation is high-density residential. Here is the relationship with city limits. This property is between corporate city limits and the urban growth boundary. So one of the most westerly properties in the city's UGB. Some surrounding context is that this property is adjacent, touches on the east side with high density residential zoning property and commercial general and commercial retail zoning. We also have industrial zoning to the south. Again, when we're thinking in context of, intensity of zoning, I think high density zoning is appropriate here given the surrounding context. Again, we're asking for 17 acres to be annexed. It was our duty to demonstrate that A through F were met, and we provided all of those responses in our application packet, so I won't bore you with that. The high density residential zoning, again, is adjacent to commercial zoning and other high density residential zoned lands. Again, consistent with the smart stepping of intensity and the surrounding context. It directly implements the residential comprehensive plan designation that's already on the property. The actual intent aligns with city council goals. We assume those are city council goals because they were adopted into the comprehensive plan. The proposal is townhome developments, not to say that there wouldn't be some portion of the property that might be appropriate for additional multifamily housing developments. But the overall concept, again, reminding you that our client lives adjacent to this property, so it matters to them how it's developed. The concept is a townhome development. And again, townhomes are only permitted within the high density residential zone in Stayton. Again, we have some challenges, practical challenges on this site. So if we were to go ahead and just extend the sewer with the current grades on the property, it would daylight, and people don't like that. Daylighted sewer, it's supposed to be under the ground. So we have to bring in quite a bit of fill on this site. So the way to offset the cost of that is to have a higher density development in order to have a product that results in being affordable to several different incomes. I just went over this before. It applies again to this project here, so I'll be brief. The staff report numbers have not been adopted, and we prepared our application based on the buildable land inventory and the housing need analysis that has been adopted. The Goal 10 housing requirements are met through the City of Stayton goals and policies. Policy 1 encourages the development of housing that meets the needs of all income groups of existing and future residents. Our housing needs projections are not caps or limits, they're just projections. So exceeding them doesn't result in any kind of penalty. That table again demonstrating that we have a lot of low density land and not a lot of medium or high density land. This is that case that I would like to be part of this record as well. And so my conclusion is that we believe that this property would be appropriate to designate as high density. It aligns with the policies that are codified today. I would also say that property owners are doing a lot of research before they determine if they'd like to spend all the money that they do to annex property and then invest in it further into development. And so one of those things that we have to look at are, what does this property require in order to meet the future requirements? And I know that's not something that we really typically analyze during annexation of, but I just want to say that we have thought globally about this property, and the requirement to bring as much fill as we need will increase the development costs. Again, as Jennifer mentioned, we have 100-foot buffer setback from the creek. We will also have internal street system. None of that has been factored out of what the final density will be for this site. So the number 400 plus units that you heard is based on 17 acres. The result will not be 17 buildable acres. We will have open spaces. We will have, internal street networks with curb gutter sidewalk and landscape strips. So I hope that you'll keep that in mind when you deliberate about this property and kind of what the overall picture would be. Again, a development of this size would also be phased. So we wouldn't see all of these come online immediately. Do you have any questions?
One for me, I believe, isn't Shaft Road a county road? It's not a city street, it's county.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Wanted to make sure you're aware of that because I'm certain it is.
Yes.
Both First Street and Shaft.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's okay. I just, yeah. So
I think this hearing is going to be continued. So
it
I'll
is,
do my
it is,
homework
it
on
is. So I just want to make sure you're aware.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other questions of the applicant at this point?
I have a quick question. The infill that you're talking about bringing in, have those additional trips been factored in to anything that you've done traffic wise?
We haven't done a traffic study. The fill dirt that I was talking about was to elevate the contours of the sites by a minimum of 6 inches so that the sewer remains underground. But once we do, if we're granted annexation with high density, of course, we would come then with our subdivision, townhome subdivision plan. It would be a phased subdivision. I think the maximum people recommend you bring on at a time are about 24. So this is a 15-year project right here.
Okay, so that would be part of that phased portion.
Yes.
Bringing that, okay.
Any other questions from the commission? Yes, Peter.
And this may be more for Jennifer. When we talked about one of the previous developments, the question is whether the setback from like the Salem ditch is part of the calculation against.
I would believe it would be. Or the density is calculated by the actual area. It depends how they break it up. If they're going to make a subdivision or make additional parcels, then it would be what the parcels would be. But I imagine that it would include the 100-foot area. Yes.
I have one more quick question, probably more for Jennifer, but who is it, county or city, or is there somebody, an actual owner that owns that little portion, the corner
Developers.
in between the Shaft Square and this proposed development? It's
Oh,
just
the
that little-
corner, the corner that's not developed, that
Yeah,
is
those-
commercial.
those
It
trees.
is, yeah.
Here?
No, I think she means below Shaft Square Apartments.
Here?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
Where they're selling what?
The art
Yes.
stand, I can tell you exactly. It's owned by the same people that own Shaft Square Apartments. And they had come in with potential development, but have not gone forward. So maybe a year or two
And
ago.
what is that portion zoned? Sorry.
It's commercial, so no residents are allowed on the first floor. It's supposed to be commercial.
And I know this is.
You can have them above.
Is that not the plan for a gigantic roundabout?
It is the plan for a gigantic roundabout. I believe when they partitioned, I know we're kind of getting off the off the application, but when they partitioned those two, they own them both, the people that own Shaft Square Apartments. They did provide a right of way to create that roundabout. But I don't know if we talk to Barry, I don't know if it's really going forward or not.
All right. I don't think we have any more questions of you at this time. So
I just had one more
Yep.
thing. So Jennifer, this is our zoning map, and this is what told me that Shaft is city. So I'll do some more research, but
Oh, in our transportation master plan, it does show what's local and what's
okay,
county. So that's where you could find it.
thank you.
Okay, very good. All right. So is there any summary on this? And this is another hearing based on DLCD's requirement. We're going to request to continue till April 27th.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Any other input from the commission at this time? If not, I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing to April 27th.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing until April 27th.
Second? Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. It's continued. Anything else for the commission tonight, Jennifer?
No, but we have we have 3 applications and new ones next month.
Yep.
That aren't going to be annexations, but
Very good. All right. Then at this time, we are adjourned.
Thank you, guys.